welcome to Boss Radio Live, everyone. Welcome to Boss Radio Live. I'm very excited about today's show. We will be talking about loving thyself, which is very important. And we have a very special guest today, Miss Kelli Calabrese. So, coming right up, everyone, Kelli Calabrese talking about self-love. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
It's Boss Radio Live with NJ, your three-dimensional podcast. Baltimore, Maryland. I love my city. Wow. You have to have balance.
Mother's Day extravaganza event being held by LUC Lois Button Culver.
Come meet me today at the Spirit Center. I want to hear what you have to say.
Again, welcome to the show. This is where he is the boss of me. I'm your host, NJ. And as I said, we are, as a part of series of shows, using your pain to fuel your passion. We are going to be talking about self-love, which is super important, especially when you're coming out of a painful situation. And we're going to be talking about that with Kelli Calabrese today.
Kelli Calabrese is an award-winning health coach who has appeared as a lifestyle, exercise, and nutrition expert on NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox. A best-selling author and international speaker, Kelli became a certified divorce coach after an unbearably painful divorce in order to heal, and now helps others live a life filled with freedom, peace, joy, and self-love. She is the founder of Intentionally Fabulous and is on a mission to help women redefine themselves to live an extraordinary bonus life and fearlessly pursue what sets their soul on fire. Today we discuss learning to love thyself and the habits that can help get you there.
So please welcome to the show, everyone, Kelli Calabrese.
Thank you, NJ. It is awesome to be here.
It is awesome to have you, and what a wonderful topic. So I can't wait to get into this because people really have a problem loving themselves, and especially when you're going through a tough situation. So I wanna hop right into it because this is going to be a great show.
Let's do it. Well, I'm excited. Well, NJ, there's really only 4 things that we can do with our time. So when we tell someone, okay, start loving yourself, they're like, I am so busy. Where am I going to have time for that? How do you want me to squeeze that in? And so let's talk about the 4 things we can do with our time. We can start things, we can stop things, we can do more of things, or we can do less of things. So sometimes I'd like people to start with a to-don't list. What do we need to stop doing that is not adding value to our life and really bringing us closer to the direction that we want to go? And one of the things we might all need to stop doing is stop the self-rejection before we can start the self-love, because we're just hard on ourselves, especially women. I can't speak for the men, but I work with a lot of women, and wow, it just leads to such dysfunctional thinking when we're so critical of ourselves. And if you know anyone who's critical on the outside to other people, it's because they're even more critical of themselves. Because what's in us when we're squeezed, when we're under pressure, is what comes out of us. So it really comes from a self-loathing, a feeling of unworthiness, unlovable, some type of self-rejection, self-hate. So let's stop that. And it takes renewing your mind to do that, because most of what we do, especially after the age of 35, in fact, 95% is habitual. So we just have these same, just like railroad tracks that are ingrained in our head that play over and over and over. So we look in the mirror and we say things about ourselves that aren't kind. When we get dressed in the closet, we're saying things that aren't kind. It's not building our confidence. So we really need to stop this self-rejection, stop the criticize. It is sabotaging, and it makes you feel like a victim, which is the lowest level of energy you could possibly have. You just feel like the world is happening to me. I have no control. So does that make any sense?
That makes absolute sense, because, first you need to just accept yourself. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Somehow, even though it makes perfect sense, we find it hard to do, though, right? So how can we do that? How do we get there?
Well, it starts with intention. So once you decide in Latin means to cut off any other possibility. So once you decide, you know what, I am going to love myself, I am going to care for myself, now you're intentional with it and you start to build it into your schedule. So for example, if you look at the success habits of super achievers, there's certain things they do every morning and every night. So they've got the morning routine, the evening routine. Anything that happens in the middle of the day is a bonus. So if you can start even with 5 minutes in bed in the morning of gratitude. Gratitude is a superpower. If you just start thinking about all the things I'm thankful for, I mean, even someone who's homeless can find something. If you think you have nothing, you have a pencil, if you're watching this, you've got some technology. Start with being thankful. What about your health? You have air in your lungs. And there's a superpower with it. If you're not thankful for what you have, you're never going to get more of good things. So 5 minutes in the morning, you can go down your body, you can go around your room, you can think about your day, the people in your life, find something. And when I first started doing gratitude, it was very mechanical, like, well, I'm thankful I took my vitamins, I'm thankful. But now it's like, wow, nobody gets to have the day that I have. I got to talk to NJ today. Like, that's amazing. How many people get to do that? And, I just get so excited. And you start going about your day looking for things to be grateful for. So it's just a shift. Other things in the morning, breathing, breath. It calms us down. It just takes that nervous system and it takes that anxiety and stress off. Another great thing to do in the morning is get your body moving. We're designed to move, and morning exercisers have the highest compliance rates. So if you can get up and do it, starting is the hardest part. Get the tennis shoes on, get out in the garage, get the video on, the app, there's so many options. Get outside, do something, move. It will set the tone for your day. You've got your metabolism going, and then water with lemon, warm water with lemon, just get something good in your body, a little bit of detox that's happening. And then from there, anything great can happen. Those are the basics. And I hope you take a few moments and put on some lipstick or whatever makes you feel beautiful, even if you're working from home, even if no one sees you. It's like the military who talk about making your bed. There's just power to the routine and completing things and being disciplined. So if we've all gotten comfortable and cozy at home in our, sweats and hair in a messy bun, then it's time to take a few moments, care for your skin, put on a little lipstick, whatever makes you feel good. I remember my grandmother in her 90s, she used to get up and comb her hair and put her lipstick on, and she didn't have to, but it made her feel good. So really figuring out, what are some of those things that you can do in the morning, and then the same thing in the evening. So it's a great time in the evening also to write down what your goals are for the next day or what you accomplished that day. And then you can go back and reread it, because there's power to rereading the goals. So if you have a mission statement, a life purpose, something that you're working towards in your health and your relationships and your wealth and your spirituality with your family, there's all these different gardens that we can be working in of our life. And a lot of times one of them we're pretty strong in, but the other ones not so much and could use some work. So maybe it's you're good with finances, you got a budget, but your health is falling apart, or you're great socially, but professionally, you're not where you should be. So rewriting or rereading those goals at night is so powerful and really a part of self-love. I'll stop there and see if you want to add anything to that.
No, I was just going to say we had a show a while back that was actually discussing balance. And so this is kind of reminding me of that, because you were saying you may be really good at some things and some things you're not. And we're all like that. So, just reiterating those goals and just keeping it in the forefront of your mind. That's mindfulness, kind of just keeping it in front of you so that you don't forget to do those things that you might not be so good at.
Yes. If you look at the people who are super achievers and you ask them, what are some of the things you do? They will tell you, I write my goals down, I read them and reread them every day, because right now focus is so difficult. The world has never been moving faster. We've never had more information coming out of us. I mean, we could see more news in a day than our grandparents saw in a lifetime. Literally. So if we don't stop and focus on the things that we're running towards, we're never going to achieve them. We will always fall short. We're going to finish every day feeling defeated and never coming close to what our potential is. So it's really important that we write those things down and stay focused, and then schedule in your self-care time the same way you would an appointment with your attorney, your accountant, your doctor. Do the same thing, because you are just as valuable. So that health, self-care time, and you get to decide what it is. Is it spirituality that you need? And, when you talk about this balance, we kind of give the image of wellness in a wheel. So if you can imagine, you're in the center and there's all these spokes like physical, financial, relational, professional, spiritual, and so on. And so it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be round, like this beautiful, perfectly symmetrical going down the road. It's jagged, it's bumpy, but sometimes we are designed to be thrown into one of those areas because we're supposed to get stronger. So let's say, for example, there is a health crisis. Sometimes that's a wake-up call for someone whether it was you or someone you love that had a heart attack, and you might be going down that same path, or maybe you got that bad report and you go, oh no, now this is going to be the focus. I'm getting on track. I'm getting my diet right. I'm cutting out the fast food. I'm going to exercise. Or maybe it's financial, where there's a crisis and you go, I never want to live this way. I don't ever want to have to be ringing up credit cards that I can't pay. I'm going to do something about this, and I'm going to learn and study and discipline and come up with a budget. So it's not a bad thing to go deep into one of those areas, because that's where you'll learn, you'll grow, you'll hopefully get better. But the idea is to keep all of them as best as possibly balanced, so that when one thing goes off, it's not like everything comes crashing down. So for example, the air conditioner or the car breaks, and now it's like, oh, now it's a money problem. Now we got to take off of work. Now it's a relationship problem because we're fighting over the money. Now, we can't send the kids to camp because it's, you want to keep everything as best you can, because life's going to happen. We're going to get that phone call. There's going to be, that layoff, that divorce, that sick child. I mean, the thing we're just not expecting. Even, for example, taking care of elderly parents, that's something we kind of expect over a lifetime, that season will come. But there's even beauty in that, and if you're prepared for it, to walk someone out the last season of their life. But it just makes sense to be healthy. It makes sense to love yourself, to care for yourself, to be at peace from the inside out, so that when these things happen, it's not chaos and confusion and anger and defensiveness and bitterness, like all those things that we're not dealing with. Because if you're loving yourself, you start to hold the mirror up and look at, how am I behaving and what is it that I need to improve on? And as you're loving yourself, you'll start to radiate that out. So when you walk in the room, people will feel that. I mean, when someone walks in the room, you're like, wow, what does she have? Like, I want that. Versus, the victim feeling or the anger feeling or the chaos feeling. Like when you're loving yourself, it just comes out of you, and people want to be around you. Good people who, love themselves, and they vibrate on that highest possible level of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. So whatever's in you is going to come out. And if you're putting in love for yourself, it's going to come out in every area of your life.
That is absolutely true. I mean, you've made so many good points, like we're only a few minutes in. So many good points. And definitely the point you just made, that's amazing to think. A lot of times we don't consider the lesson what the lesson is and what we're going through. So just to even count that as part of your journey and there's a lesson in it for you, and to actually take heed to that and grow in that area. Yeah, that's great advice. Great advice. But I was going to say, you have a book, the Success Habits of Super Achievers, which you were kind of mentioning that. And so I think that is a great book for you all to pick up. And I'm sure it has some of those amazing, amazing tips in it, right, Kelly, that you were just mentioning?
It does. You know, this book, there's over 80 stories in there of ordinary people, just like you and me, that difficult things happen, which they do. No one has this glorious, perfect life. So things come along, but they did something with it. They chose to take that adversity and make it into something great. And as you read one story each day, you'll read that story and go, wow, if they could overcome that, I could do what I need to do today and more. And so it's really encouraging. But as you read the stories, you will see that there are definitely themes of each person, whether we're a professional athlete or a top musician or a coach, whatever they are. The one really important theme is the resilience. So you get knocked down 10 times, you need to get up 11. And people are just not taught that today. They get knocked down and they stay down and they stay there too long and they get stuck there and they get stopped there. And wow, I mean, they just have such an amazing purpose on their life. We need to help people to get back up. So these stories are so encouraging that no matter what's going on in your life, I promise you won't have to look far to see someone who has an even bigger, more challenging, difficult problem that can inspire you. Not to take away from, my goodness, there's horrible things. There's, losses of children and illness and, there's just terrible things that happen. But we still have to get back up. Whatever our life has brought us, we have a choice, right? Or not. We can stay down and be the victim, but that's not the highest possible good. That's not what we're going for. That's not why people are listening to your show. So we want them to get back up. That's what that book's about.
Absolutely. So you all get that book because...
Oh, and I'll get it to them for free. If they go onto my website, kellicalabrese.com, it's Kelly with an I, they can get the ebook for free. And I'll throw this out there too. If they want to message me, email me, I will send them the copy for the cost, which is $12. I will ship it for free, but I will personally sign it. And that's in the US for free. So if they want the hard copy, I will sign it for them for the regular cost of the book, and I'll just ship it to them. So it's like $12.95 or something. Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. Do you all hear that? That is great. So that is awesome. The website is right there. Take note of that and visit and get that book, because that little bit that we heard was so edifying. That was so great. So I wanted to talk a bit about this intentionally fabulous idea and community that you have going on. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that kind of came from your story and what you went through, and then you decided to pay it forward this way.
Yes, I'm happy to share. So after a 25-year marriage, my husband came home and he said, my commitment to our marriage is 0. And he left. And it floored me. I mean, talk about blindsided. And so it took me to my knees. It emptied me out. It made me question everything. And I went on a 3-year, what I lovingly call a sabbatical, where I just needed to figure out, how do I stop this excruciating pain, this tornado that came in and blew up my life and scattered it everywhere and left this gaping hole in my heart that's so painful. And so on this journey, I did all the things. I went to divorce recovery. I was in the prayer groups, the Bible studies. I went to the retreats. I listened to the TED Talks. I read the books. And about 3 years in, when I got 2 kids off to college and I felt like I checked that box, I sat down. I was like, okay, I really have a blank slate now. I feel like I have a new beginning and I'm starting over. And I really felt called to help women walk through this season of life, which applies to 50% of first divorces. And everyone is going to do something when this major life event happens. And I wanted them to do something healthy. I didn't want them to turn to alcohol or another man or isolation or escapism or, there's a lot of things. We're going to do something. So I want them to do something healthy. So I looked at my 3-year journey and I really honed in on the things that made the difference, the things that helped me peel back the layers, the things that really moved me forward, healed my heart, healed my mind, and gave me hope for my future. And I put them into a program called Intentionally Fabulous. So it is an 8-week program, and there's a full healing guide that goes with it. And I want to help women get there faster. I mean, we just can't afford to be down for very long. We've got jobs to do and kids to raise and, a purpose to fulfill. And the average time to get through a divorce is about 4 years. So it is a long time. And some people never get over it. They don't, or they keep repeating the same type of an abusive relationship over and over again. So we want them to get well and do well. But I do have a free community. It's called Intentionally Fabulous on Facebook, where I support women who are going through any stages of separation, divorce, post-divorce. And we encourage, we talk about the hard things, we laugh. I just pour a lot into that group to support them on the journey.
And that's amazing. I kind of checked in and, went in and looked around, and it really was great. And you post some great lives that you do there, and it was really awesome. So definitely, you guys, check that out as well. But so this program, well, first I wanted you to talk about something before we start talking about the program. You said, and I'm just bringing this out because I see this happen a lot of times. You said women turn to another man, and then they get in these, I guess, bad situations or relationships. Can you talk a bit about that and just what you have found with that and your advice on that? Because that happens a lot.
Yeah, well, the number one need that every person who has breath has is to be unconditionally loved. That's what we want. We just want to be loved for who we are. That's our greatest desire. And no one human can fill that need. I mean, really the only one who can fill that need is God. So it's about us becoming whole as ourselves and then bringing a whole person into a relationship. But first you need to heal before you do that. And a lot of people just run right into that next relationship and they're taking all the things with them. So however they acted in the past one, whether they were an enabler, a perfectionist, name whatever the dysfunction was, they're just going to keep repeating it and it only gets worse and they're less patient. So that's why the second divorce rate is even higher than the first divorce rate. And so the second need that a man and a woman has, everyone wants to be unconditionally loved, but the number one need of a woman is security. We want to feel secure that we're loved and we're provided for and we're safe and someone's going to fight for us. So we run to a man for security because we think that he is the one to fill that. And again, maybe we were in a relationship where we couldn't trust the man that we were with. And so now we're just seeking that because it feels like the natural thing. It's a need, it's a desire. But again, you're not going to find it right away in another man until you have the wholeness in yourself. And, for me, I believe with God. So again, you're bringing a whole healed person as best as possible into the next relationship. And when you do that self-work, you know what your core values are. So for example, when you really establish those core values, you don't need more than one date to know, like, okay, no, this isn't going to work. And nothing against you. I mean, this is awesome, but this isn't going to line up for me. So for example, a smoker. I've been a health professional for 35 years. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist. I can't go into it thinking, I'll get him to quit smoking. No. I just know by the first date that there's not going to be a second. Like, I'm not even going to lead you on to think there could be romance or I can change. faith is another one that's important to me. If our faith doesn't align, it's just, we could be friends maybe, but I'm going to be right up front and say that this is not going to work. So you need to do the healing first before you realize that. Otherwise, you're letting the emotions really take over. So maybe he's handsome, or maybe he has money, or maybe there's chemistry. But, all those things are great. But unless there's the core values that you have to figure out, you don't know what they are if you're just coming out of a relationship and you're really hurt because you're still in that place of, you need to go through the grief cycle. And that includes anger and bitterness and sadness and depression, and eventually a healthy readjusting. And then from the healthy readjusting, I want to take them to like better than you've ever been. You didn't even know this was possible. Like, wow, kind of bonus life. So wow. I don't suggest, it's been 3.5 years for me, and I'm not dating yet. So I have no anxiety about it because I'm just so complete and whole and looking at what's great about being single right now. And I know it will happen. I know I won't be alone forever, but I have no anxiety about it.
Wow. that was definitely where I wanted you to go with that, but so much further also, because that is really a serious thing. I see it happen over, and it's unfortunate that I even see that many relationships break up, but you see people rush right into something else and it just never works out well. Most of the time it never works out well. So
relationships are hard. It's going to be a battle. You've got two different people, different backgrounds, different ideas, different expectations, different communication skills, and so you're putting two different people together that need to work all that out. And if you're coming in defensive, angry, if you're already coming in with those things, it's just going to be, toxic and explosive. I'm not saying it could never work, but man, it's going to be way harder than if you really do the deep work and come into it in a place where you're ready to have real conversations, to be able to communicate what your expectations are, not try and guess what the other person is thinking, and just ready to go deep with someone.
So if someone is wanting to get into the Intentionally Fabulous program in order to be able to really dive deep and do that sort of work, just explain like a couple of the things that they may have to do in that, or exercises, or just talk, not too much, but just.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. So there's 8 weeks, and I'll tell you what the topics are. Week 1 is identity, really figuring out who you are, not in the world, because your title as a wife, a mom, a manager, all that could be gone in a moment. So who are you really? That's week 1. Week 2 is forgiveness. I know people are like, oh, I hate that topic. Like, if you knew my story, you wouldn't be telling me to forgive, and you don't know what happened. It was unfair. But we walk through that. And the hardest person you'll ever have to forgive will be yourself. So it's really more about self-forgiveness. Then we talk about renewing your mind, because we all get stuck in the past and we keep telling that same sorry story over and over and over. So how do you renew that? Then we talk about gratitude and self-love, which this show is about. We talk about purpose, because you may need to redefine that or go back to that little girl, or if men are listening, that young man, and what are the desires in your heart? And now how do we take that passion and that purpose and profit and find that sweet spot where you're operating in this amazing flow? Then we talk about divine health, because a lot of times in this season, people will lose their health, whether they do the divorce diet or they don't even care, and they're just overfeeding and putting junk in their bodies, treating it like a garbage truck. And then we talk about abundant wealth, because single moms are the #1 poverty group in the country. And they just get this mindset of, I'm never going to have enough. I'm never going to be enough. I'll never make enough. I'll always scrape by. So we renew that mindset and get them in an abundance mindset. And then week 8 is joy, resurrection, and celebration, because it's not all just difficulty and struggle. Like there has to be celebration. There has to be a harvest and fruitful season. So that's the 8 weeks. And with all the teachings, I have a healing guide. So the healing guide gives you the meditations, affirmations, visualizations, activations and celebrations that go with that topic. So for example, for forgiveness, you have affirmations that, just you read them like boldly, I am forgiven, and you go down each one. And then there's a meditation where you just meditate, where you listen to all the, just let them wash over you about how forgiven you are and all the areas of forgiveness. There's an activation. That means you have to do some work. So you might need to write that apology letter, even if you never give it. You may burn it, but write it out. Write it to yourself, to your ex, to, in-laws, whoever. Then there's the what I call a visualization. So it's kind of a heaven experience where you imagine what it would be like to be in heaven and just have this whole recreation of, let's shed light and truth on your current situation and see what you discover. And then the celebration part is you really get to decide. I mean, you set your goals and you decide how you want to celebrate and then do them because you're worth it.
Oh, I love that visualization. It something came over me when you were even talking. I was like, oh, that sounds wonderful.
It's so good. Anyone can do it anytime.
That's amazing. So that sounds like a really great program, and just what someone who's gone through, a traumatic experience like divorce and separation, they definitely could use that. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I'm so glad you were on the show today because you gave us so many nuggets and wonderful things in this little bit of time. It passed so fast, but really a lot of information shared. I'm so glad you came on today. Kelli, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, NJ. I'm happy to share anytime, and I hope they do join the free group. And if I can help them anyway, I'm happy to do it. Everyone is telling me to raise my rates on the program because it's been so valuable, but hopefully people will go and get in soon before the rates go up.
Well, there you go, you guys. You heard it. Go before, it gets to be a little bit more. And the link is right there for you guys to go. So, yeah, I would recommend, especially if you're going through an experience like that. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing again with us, Kelli. This has been a wonderful show. And so, do you have anything else you want to share, or just that special? That was enough. Anything else coming up?
I would just say, my goal every day is to let love win. So that's the barometer and the lens that I look through with all of my decisions about the day is, how can I let love win? So if that speaks to anyone, I just want to empower women to overcome the stress, the rejection, and the fear to just live a great life.
Wow. And that's a great note to stop on, you guys. I thank my guest today, Miss Kelli Calabrese. She has been a wonderful guest and has given us so many nuggets. Again, thank you, Kelli.
Thank you, NJ. Thanks for bringing the show to the world. It needs it.
Oh, thank you. And I'm glad to do it. This is amazing. All right, you guys, it's been another great show. Thank you for joining me and my special guest, Kelli Calabrese, today. Kelli has been really wonderful, shared some great nuggets. If you guys didn't catch them all, go back, listen to it again, and then make sure you go to her website. Join Intentionally Fabulous if that sounds like something you could use right now. And can't we all use that, honestly? And it's been a great show. Again, you guys, it's been awesome. Can't wait to see you guys the next time. It's the same place, same time, every second and fourth Friday at 6 p.m. You guys join us for another great show. It's been amazing. Until next time, everyone, stay boss.